Well, welcome in, folks. If you don't know, this is our friend Zach Wilkerson, and hopefully you are following Zach and his journey. He has been
Hopefully.
nice enough to hop in and join us for a little album review.
Yeah.
It's a pretty special treat.
Uh-huh.
My understanding is we don't listen to a ton of music.
I I don't listen to music at all.
Right.
Like I stopped listening to music about 15 years ago. Um as kind of the songwriter discipline thing. You know, you don't want to steal from anybody. So I picked that up in a Jimmy Webb book that he put out years and years ago called Wordsmith. And I've just not listened to music. But Wildflowers is one of the records that, like I kind of grew up on. That came out in 94. Is that right? Yeah,
Yes.
94.
I believe
And
so.
I was living in Nebraska at the time, and this record was very helpful to me as a kid in middle school in Nebraska.
Absolutely. This is
Yeah.
this is a gem for sure. So,
All right. So just more promo on Zach.
oh hey, what do we have there?
That.
Make sure y'all go check out Zach's music. Go check out his web store and all of that stuff. He didn't join just so that we could, sling his merch or whatever, but we're doing it anyway.
It sure
Hey,
helps.
Sure, right.
nerd.
And yeah, as far as this Tom Petty album, this is not the original. The original release. This is a this is one that come out just a couple years ago. It has alternate takes on other discs of some of the
Yeah.
same songs. Plus, I think like 10 new songs. We're not going to go through those because that's a lot. But it is cool to, it's new material
Yeah.
by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So this vinyl is cool. I would love to have the original, but it is really pricey
Yeah.
because there's not that many of them because of the time period that it came out.
Right.
So if anybody wants to, purchase a, couple $100 vinyl for me, just
Yeah, there you go. There's
exactly.
a thing in the
What's-
box for that.
You know what's funny is like you were saying because of the time period. I've owned this record on CD 3 separate times, just because it keeps. I think one of them got the CD got sat on, in the car or whatever. So, and then I think there's probably an ex-girlfriend somewhere that has a copy,
Oh, shout out to her.
but yeah, no shout out to her.
Shout out to her. Fair enough.
Well,
We changed one of the. I think last time when we had you on the interview part of our thing, one of the questions was, "What's your desert island album?" And we changed that to be, "What's the album that you've bought more than once?" Because
Yeah,
that's an easy answer. Trying to get people to sort through 8 gajillion albums is a difficult answer. So
yeah.
yeah,
This
the
is
one,
definitely a multiple.
some
Copy.
of them have figured out the cheat code and saying a greatest hits album or something like that. They've figured, or a burnt CD I made in high school like that. That's actually,
mixtape.
but
So,
this,
Ruby, I didn't ask you that question. What's an album that you've purchased multiple times?
um, I don't know. I did pretty well at keeping up with. Also, kind of once I got out of high school, it was Napster time. So if you lost it, you could just,
You
Yep.
could pirate it.
borrow another one.
Borrow another one. That's right.
So probably, not as, but there's a few that I did on I guess on cassette, and I think this was one of them. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure that I had this one on cassette originally, and then eventually made it
Okay.
to CD.
What's a special day?
And which is something that as a growing up in this time period, I didn't really realize how until like a few years ago how different this album is compared to all the music that was coming out at the time
Yeah.
in the mid 90s, which I love all that 90s stuff, but then there's this right smack
Yeah.
dab in the middle of it, and it's still considered one of the best albums ever, which is just a strange thing, and that didn't happen very often.
Yeah, I think his ability to stay pretty relevant in the especially in the popular music world. I mean, that's hard to do for as long as he did.
Yeah.
I mean, I even think of like we were talking about the Bee Gees a few days ago, and they actually also, they kind of adapted to what the sound was like. You don't realize until you go back and kind of look and listen and see how well a band adjusts. I know this album is not the Heartbreakers, but it's still Tom Petty and that iconic
I mean,
voice. And
I
it's
sound.
kind
think
of funny because
I think it is.
it's basically all of the Heartbreakers except for the drummer. They used a different drummer.
Oh, okay.
And then I think I'm gonna have to go back and look. I think that's right, but that
Yeah.
drummer that played, he eventually became the Heartbreakers' new drummer.
Oh,
I think I was looking at this earlier, and yeah, the drummer that played on it, like almost everybody on the record is a Heartbreaker,
okay.
except
All
for
right.
that one drummer.
I think I missed.
But it's like it's funny because I've seen before where they said, well, we just didn't want to like. The idea was, of course, Rick Rubin. That was the first one he produced for Tom Petty, and they were talking about, well, we didn't want to just get kind of locked into this same sound with these same people, and then they ended up using, like I said, most of the Heartbreakers.
Yeah.
And they had a few people come in and like sit in and stuff. I didn't realize this until this morning. I was looking at it. There's 4 saxophone players credited on this record. 4 different dudes playing sax.
That's like a Steely Dan situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
right.
just rotate
Yeah.
in everybody. Like,
I was gonna say that's like a James Brown situation,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this definitely has I don't know, would you call it more organic sound to this album compared to the stuff that he put around it?
Right. Yeah.
Especially coming out of the 80s.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Which
80s was so processed.
Yeah, that wasn't really my favorite section of Tom's music, but that was the time period. So
Right. Right.
80s were fun though.
I'll take your word on it. I don't remember.
I'm sure
It
a
was
couple people in the chat will be able to verify.
I think I remember middle school barely. So
Right.
I'm a 81 model, so it gets
What,
a little. I mean, I barely remember yesterday too. So
What album cover or what photograph of a band was in your locker, Soule Gravy?
well, I remember in high school I had a book bag. It was like this tan generic book bag, and I took a marker and drew logos from all these different 90s bands. It was ugly, I'm sure, but it was like Candlebox, and it'd be like a candle with a candle with Candlebox. It was like nothing,
Nice.
the Toadies, whatever, and then and in high school I had calm down ladies, but I had an 85 Buick Skylark that had a white leather top.
Nice.
Oh, the soft top?
No, just it was the plush
Yeah.
leather, yeah.
Squishy.
And that my dad gave me, so I had to drive it up from Texas up here. It lasted a couple years, and I don't know why, but he had a CB ball for an antenna on the trunk.
Yeah.
So to make it even cooler, it had
Chasing storms out there.
I don't know why he did that. But anyway, and it had the it was covered in bumper stickers with the Hendrix and the Led Zeppelins and the
Yeah.
whatever you could find at the local
Badass.
record store at the time. So me and my daughter were actually talking about that on the way to the show the other night about some of the T-shirts, all the throwback shirts that everybody buys now. And I was like, man, I wish I had those T-shirts back from middle school and high school, because a lot of the bands I had back then.
Sadly, they would be half shirts, but they still.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, of what size they would have been. I mean, I'm not that much bigger than I was
What
back
size they're
then.
supposed to be?
Right.
Right. In my mind, they would have still fit, but I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't
about
know.
that.
Shout out to Robert who said the 80s were fun. The 80s were great, so I agree.
Well, all right. We can jump into the track number 1. I'll look it up. What the actual name of it is. There is a documentary on the making of this record. That was actually really good, and it explains a lot going back behind this of stuff that we might miss.
Should probably be significant.
But it's and it was one of the last things they put out with Tom in it. So you know, of course, that's cool just in general. So.
Absolutely.
And I don't know why. When we started this podcast, we were thinking of independent artists. We were thinking of singer-songwriters, things like that. And I never really thought about Tom being a singer-songwriter. But he, like, was one of the best singers. I mean, when I think of singer-songwriter, I'm thinking Guy Clark.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Town
Yeah.
Van Zandt.
Yeah.
But Tom was possibly as good or better than they were.
He was all of that, man. Like if you look at, like, he wrote every song on this record.
Right.
The only co-writes are with Mike Campbell, which Mike Campbell's been Tom's guitar player for decades. You know.
And still putting out music too, by the way.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, if you look at the writing creds, Tom Petty puts them out there, man. And
I guess just because it's not slow and on an acoustic,
right.
I don't think of singer-songwriter, but
That makes sense.
he 100% is, you know?
It's even really amazing when you realize that they wanted to put, like, what was it, 25 songs on it? They were going to make a full double. Let me see if I can find where they said that. Yeah, the original plan, they wanted to make a double. And one of the guys at Warner Brothers was like, whoa, hold on, man.
Oh yeah, that was a out of the box idea, you know,
Yeah.
at that time. They were pretty. The train was rolling. So this was Warner Brothers, right? This was the
Yeah.
first one with Warner
This was
Brothers.
his first Warner Brothers, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, yeah, it was supposed to be 25 songs. But Lenny Waronker of Warner Brothers was like, nah, it's too much, man.
Damn it, Lenny.
Yeah.
Come on, Lenny. Let's see, one, two,
Or
so
maybe
it's got
Lenny was just
60.
genius and goes, "Hey, we're gonna wait till he down
Well,
the road and,
And
we're
then
gonna
just
release
release them all.
30."
huh?
Yeah. What's crazy, though, is like they left out 10 songs, and 2 of the songs became hits for some. Like Rod Stewart had a hit from one of the songs that didn't make it to the original record, became a Rod Stewart hit. So it's like
Yeah.
Tom Petty is straight up a songwriter.
That's
And
Yeah.
I think one of the cuts that didn't make it, if I remember right, was the one that Ringo played drums on.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Let's
And
see.
somebody else was on that too, and I can't remember who. But
reminds me of
Oh,
the
the Beach
the
Boys
Beatles
guy.
joke. Remember the Beatles joke about Ringo or them saying when the drummer writes a song, they're like, we're gonna put this on the refrigerator right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ringo.
on
Poor
that-
Ringo.
I think on that same song, it's one of the Beach Boys was back. One of the Wilson brothers was singing harmonies on that, and that song didn't make the album either.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, they have 10 songs that are fantastic. It's like, they're extras. We don't need them.
We're good.
Yeah.
Let's.
My son watched his brother die
What is that?
in his arms.
17-year-old
No idea.
Metcalf.
That must be on my end. Hold on, I gotta close
Okay.
something on my computer.
All right.
I thought we had a
Okay.
fourth guest all of a sudden.
Yeah, here you go.
All right. Well, we probably do need weather updates these days. It's been crazy around here, but all right, we'll get rolling. On the first track is the title track, Wildflowers. Let's see.
I put your listening ears on.
That's right.
That's not it.
Nope, that ain't it.
You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea.
Jude, how's
Sail
the
away,
volume?
kill
Little
all
louder,
the
maybe.
hours. You belong somewhere you feel
It's kind of like you were saying earlier, like the other things that came out at the same time.
run away
and how different this sounds, right? We start off with a strumming acoustic guitar, real clean, real pretty. Uh, the other records that came out around the same time, Soundgarden, super unknown. Not a whole lot of not a whole lot of acoustic guitar there. Dookie by Green Day, not a whole lot of acoustic. Beastie Boys, Oasis, Nine Inch Nails put a downward spiral from Nine Inch Nails is '94 too. So the idea of Tom Petty coming out in '94 with strumming guitar to open a record is it's kind of brave, you know, considering what everybody else is doing.
Especially
he's
when
just-
you consider what Ruben had been working on.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Well, Beastie Boys, you know,
right.
he was doing some pretty hard stuff otherwise, yeah.
This has a almost like a childlike nursery rhyme quality to it.
Yeah, I think like it's really interesting. One thing that Tom Petty's always done is done a good job of matching your lyrics with the instrumentation, right? This song's really like kind of like you said, it's very gentle. It's like musically and lyrically, it's kind of like talking to your kid or even your grandkid. Like,
Right.
you know, you belong somewhere you feel free.
Just because I don't know, not a Tom Petty super fan.
Yeah.
But where was he? What was going on in his life about this point when he?
About 94? I'm not sure. Let's see.
You know, we all notice when artists tend to write about their environment, right? So I was just curious what was going on in his world.
I was trying to remember the story of Last Dance of Mary Jane, and there's also a movie soundtrack. I think it's called She's the One. That were all associated with around this album, and I can't remember. I was trying to remember what the story was. There's something to the fact of like Last Dance of Mary Jane was on a greatest hits album. It wasn't on an actual any album, which is probably one of his most popular songs ever. And it was something to the fact of appeasing of like the former record company or something to that nature. Like he had a certain amount of albums he had to put out with them before he could do something else or something. I can't remember the details, but just the fact of you were talking about they had to whittle the Wildflowers album down, and then around that same time period, there's a greatest hits album with Last Dance of Mary Jane and a movie soundtrack, all Tom Petty songs. That's a bunch of shit, you know?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? You know what's crazy? Mary Jane's Last Dance was recorded during the Wildflowers session.
Okay. I knew they was tied together somehow.
That's nuts to think that's another one of the songs that didn't make this record.
Right.
Like
We'll just put that to the
arguably
side.
one of the most famous popular Petty songs
Right.
was a
Like
path.
Soule Gravy, we got a couple requests in the chat when the
Okay.
tune comes on. If you could amp it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna change the channel on the mixer this time.
Cool.
Whoops. Because the one it was in didn't have a gain. I couldn't turn it up anymore. So, and it was not to 11. Apparently, that channel only goes to 7.
Unacceptable.
Right. So, I will get because it was full blast
Oh, okay.
in that channel. So,
All right. Let's see. Good morning, Tater. Let's see. I was going to ask. Oh, I was going to tell you some things that were going on the day this album was released.
okay.
So I know you all are. I'm not going to quiz Soule Gravy on Gainesville.
Thank you.
Famous people from Gainesville, Florida.
Tom Petty.
Let's see here. November 1st, 1991, I believe. 1994, sorry. November 1st, 1994. The Chicago Bulls retired superstar Michael Jordan's number 23 jersey in a 2-hour ceremony at the United Center.
Jeez, 2 hours.
Famous birthday, James Ward Prowse. He's a midfielder for Southampton, was born. Soccer,
Oh yeah.
English football. Let's see. Sidney Durnley, a British hangman, dies at 73. I think that's what, yeah. I didn't know we still had hangmen. But apparently we did.
Crazy.
That'd be a tough profession, to be honest.
No kidding.
Hopefully there's not a lot of competition.
Well, yeah. I mean, how do you interview for that?
Yeah.
What's your resume like?
Yeah. This is the kind of salty content that you get when you show up to Soule Gravy on a Saturday morning.
That's right. So the other thing I was going to say about this was, and I hadn't realized this. I knew this was his first. I knew Wildflowers was the first Warner Brothers record for him. One thing I didn't realize was this came right on the heels of making the Traveling Wilburys records with MCA Records. And if you guys don't know about the Traveling Wilburys, like that is the ultimate super group.
Yeah.
You know, there's a freaking Beatle in that band. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and wasn't his or a guy that produced a lot of his stuff? Wasn't he in the Traveling Wilburys?
Are you talking about
Jeff Lynne?
Jeff Lynne? Mm-hmm. Jeff Lynne was in the Traveling Wilburys, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And he did Jeff did the one with Free Fallin', that album.
Great Into the Great Wide Open.
No, it was well, he made them.
He did that one too.
I think
I was thinking he did Full Moon
most of
Fever.
his at
Did
some
he?
point. I think so, but
I'm not
hold on.
100%
Let's see.
sure. Yeah,
He
thanks
did.
for
You're
Googling.
right. He did Full Moon Fever and Into the Great Wide Open.
Okay.
Jeff Lynne.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And he was kind of known to be extremely meticulous as far as like playing one tom at one time, and then
yeah.
which kind of drove them all crazy, and then it kind of ended that okay, we're gonna do something a little different next.
Yeah.
But man, those albums are ridiculous though.
I mean, Roy Orbison, Jeff Lynne, Tom Petty, freaking George Harrison.
Yeah, that's
You know what I
insane.
mean? Like,
You guys want to make an album?
yeah, right. Well, you guys want to make all the albums ever? Like we can. We got all the people.
Who started that conversation too? Which is
Yeah. I don't really know. Oh yeah, I forgot Bob Dylan was in there too.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah, you guys ever heard of him? He's written a few. It's pretty incredible
that's great.
that much that much music history. Then getting together and like, let's just play some songs, see what happens.
Yeah, it feels like this feels right.
Yeah, right.
And it wasn't. I mean, it may have been somewhat as a. I don't think of that as a money grab. You know what I mean? Because the style
Right.
of music is not what was necessarily being played on the radio or anything like that.
Yeah,
So-
that was what was it? 88. In 88, they decided to start that. In 88, it was hairspray and tight spandex and guitars that
synthesizers,
like a lightning bolt.
synthesizers, and fake
Yeah,
drums.
right.
Tater came
Exactly.
up with the comment of the day
Already.
so far. Free Falling could have been a Hangman tribute.
Ooh,
These are the kind of layered jokes that I like, folks. So shout out to Tater. That's pretty.
we'll allow it. We'll allow it.
Yeah.
All right, you want to go on to the next one?
Yeah, let's do it.
What is the next one? It is a. Oh yeah. You don't know how it feels. I don't
We
know.
crank this one up, Soule Gravy.
Okay.
I guess we should start asking which. Well, I guess if we get there,
Whoops.
there it is. Now we
Speaking
got
of-
some gain, baby.
Yeah, exactly. All red lights right there.
Yeah. Fishnet shirts. That's right, Tater.
Doing
That's
it
true.
different down there in Southeast Kansas.
It's true.
Yeah. Oh man.
Here we go.
Oh yeah.
I want to go silent so we can give it a good ear.
Let me run with you tonight. I'll take you on a moonlight ride. There's someone I used to see, but she don't give a damn for me.
Oh, I love that line.
let me get to the point. Let's roll another joint and turn the radio loud. I'm too alone to be proud, and you don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels to be me. People come, people go. Some grow young, some grow cold. I woke up in between a memory and a dream. So let's get to the point. Let's roll another joint. Let's head on down the road. There's somewhere I gotta go, and you don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels to be me.
That little lick has Mike Campbell all over it.
Yeah.
So simple but ridiculous. And that.
Yeah. Well, Tom Petty had said before that he doesn't feel like he'd be Tom Petty if Mike Campbell.
My old man was born to rock. He's still trying to beat the clock. Think of me what you will. I've got a little space to fill. So let's get to the point. Let's roll another joint. Let's head on down the road. There's somewhere.
Yeah, Jude sounds prominent on the drums. And it is, I do have to say, the drum sounds on this record sound clean and simple, and just, the word I would use is crisp. Yeah?
Tasty.
Yeah.
You don't know how it feels. No, you don't know how it feels to be me.
Hey, Joe! What's up, buddy?
Speaking of drummers on this album, I'm sure he loved this song.
Yeah.
Same thing the whole way. Can I add a fill?
No fills. Just play the hi-hat, please.
Since we're talking about drums, just to add a couple little tidbits here, I went down a drum compression rabbit hole that I didn't realize, and then I looked up and the song was still going on. So that one was at 174. No, sorry. Hold on. Beats per minute. So Gin Smoking Lies, if you know that song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very similar.
It is.
And then Jude's commented, "We Will Rock You," which is at 179.
Okay. Yeah.
But that dun, dun, ch,
Yep.
yeah, kind of an iconic sound.
Absolutely.
So as great as that song was, it said that it peaked at 61 on the U.S.
Right?
Hot 100.
Depressing.
That
And-
just proves that the music business is stupid.
Exactly.
That song is way better than that.
And then on the rock chart, it was 23.
Yeah.
So that's
Dumb.
That's wild.
yeah. And I remember there was a controversy on this song because none of the radio stations at the time wanted to say the word joint. So I remember there were certain versions of it where it would just say it backwards
Yeah.
instead of joint. It'd be like,
I remember that.
you
I remember hearing-
it was just a gargled version, or it would, or they changed it to roll or hit. I think maybe something like that. Another
Oh,
word.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
MTV, VH1, all the major players didn't want the original version.
Yeah.
So
I remember hearing it when I was a kid. It was just they just cut the word, so it was just let's roll another, and then you just had this empty space. It's like, man, thanks for
Nice.
killing the vibe, guys.
Filling
Like,
in the word.
yeah.
Yeah, roll.
It's like walking down the sidewalk and you step in a hole. Like, what the flip? I expected there to be something there, but
yeah, it says taking the word roll out. They said, and there's also a version that played the word joint backwards.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so
Fancy.
that's-
editing.
Tater, who was it? Let's see. It moving so fast. Oh, Indiana Joe says so funny, especially with what they push now. It's like,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a certain song that I'm not even going to say the title because you can't even say the title and be polite. But like there's a certain song that was a massive hit. And whenever I think about stuff like this, I'm like, I think we're okay to say the word joint on the
Yeah, I
radio.
think we're all
It's
gonna-
gonna be
Well,
all right.
I mean, there was a hit around the same time period. It was like F the Popo. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you
Shout
mentioned
out
this.
to Evie.
Yeah, you mentioned this song in passing earlier. "Girl on LSD" was supposed to be the B-side single to that song, and Warner Brothers did not approve of the song as far as everything about it. Apparently, all the lyrics and the name and everything, the whole package. They were not a fan of that song, so it didn't make the album or the B-side, but apparently that was the intention originally. Which, just to think of B-side, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, they kind of quit doing that at some point in time.
Yeah. Well, it's funny to me that they were so upset about all this stuff when you look at the other records that were coming out, you know.
Exactly.
Beastie Boys, like that's not polite.
No,
You know?
you know.
I love the Beastie Boys. I'm not downplaying them at all, but
Exactly.
funny.
It would
Leave
be
Tom alone.
interesting to do. You know, since just because nobody does that anymore, it would be kind of interesting to release a B-side today. I mean, you know, a little throwbacky. But
Yeah.
Still kind of cool because I don't know.
Yeah,
you
we
know,
could talk to Joe about that, you know. It'd be cool to go back to like
Do a 45.
I was gonna say do some 45s, you know?
sell some of the little widget pieces or whatever. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, the
Joe,
little,
can you help us?
So this might actually, I mean, what you were talking about there. This was actually on my record player when I got, because I have to get this. My main one won't play 45s. So
Okay.
well, without actually taking it apart and moving a belt, which is a pain in the ass. But so this Lucero album, or list 45, is an alternate take of one of their songs called "Nights Like These," right? So it's an incentive for people at their merch table to buy one of their most popular songs, but it has horns and recorded at Sun Studios.
Cool.
Just an alternate take of one of their most popular songs, and then they have a song on the back that's not on any of their albums.
Interesting.
So that would actually be, yeah.
Well,
that would-
and think too, Zach, if you accidentally left a box of albums behind, it'd be not as heavy, right? Just a smaller box.
I got another quesadilla, so it worked out.
Right, yeah.
You guys don't know what we're talking about.
It's fine.
Talbo and I went to this. Well, we had an event that we had to we were judges for this event, and I brought a box of my vinyls to kind of hand out. And before we left, there was a taco truck in the back, so I got a quesadilla from this taco truck as we were leaving. And I thought to myself, okay, I got my quesadilla. Don't forget my records, right? And I took one bite of this quesadilla, and it was so good, like I forgot my own name. and I couldn't stop talking about this quesadilla for like 10 minutes. Our friend Bill Corbin, who plays bass for Mickey and the Motor Cars, formerly American Aquarium, but Bill was there, or Steve and Bill. I couldn't stop talking about this stupid quesadilla.
It looked good.
It was so delicious, and we drove off because we dropped off Bill back at his place, and then somebody called and said, "Hey, you left that box of records," and we were like, "Oh no, okay." And I remember thinking to myself on the way back, I'm like, "Hey, we're going back.
I could get another.
I could get another quesadilla," and I did.
Yeah, it was great.
So,
Yeah.
Zach, can you tell us a little bit about our friend Joe in the chat and maybe
Yeah.
what he does? I think some
Well,
folks would be interested to learn about Joe. If you don't follow Joe on here, please do.
Yeah, Joe is one of my oldest friends. I've known him for, man, over a decade now. He was in radio for years and years out in New Mexico, but now he is the artist liaison. Is that right, Joe? Tell me if I'm wrong. I think he's the artist liaison for Hand Drawn Pressing, which is an independently owned vinyl pressing plant, record pressing plant in. Man, I'm having a hard time in here in Dallas,
do it to
in
you.
Addison. But he's pressed both of my records, my Evergreen and my Mud and Sunshine. He pressed both of those. They do a lot of like custom type stuff.
Really
So for my Evergreen record,
Yep.
yeah, there's that one. For my Evergreen record, we did a Coke bottle green, so it's completely clear. It looks like a Coke bottle. And then for this one, we did random color
Yeah.
vinyl record. That's
Both of them were random too,
Yeah, they're
not just
both
one
random,
of them. Yeah. If you haven't seen that video, I made this video. I like unboxed it, made this whole video, pulled one of them out, like, oh, that's pretty, and I thanks guys, and I put it up, and then I got a message later, it was like, hey, there's another color.
I figured
So-
I knew you'd figure it out.
So
Yeah,
I would eventually have played it. So
Yeah.
I love
But
that.
Joe's one of those dudes, man. He's just so kind of unassuming and cool. There's a bar that we all kind of frequent, kind of our home bar called Dan Silverleaf. And Joe has broken the record for the life of the bar for the person to be on the guest list more than any other person in the history of the bar. And it's to the point now where several months ago, I was with Joe. I was there when the manager of the bar said, "Hey, man, just you don't have to keep getting on the guests. Just come in the bar. Like we all
Extra
know,
work, Joe.
we know that everyone knows you. Like
Right.
just come to the bar." So it's like it's pretty funny now. We went last night, and he texted me and said, "Oh, we don't have to worry about tickets. We're on the guest list." And I was like, I know, Joe, but he's just the coolest man. You know,
He's a good friend to have.
he's a great friend to have, and it's really crazy when you realize like Joe. Not only does he do a lot of stuff with independent guys like me, you know, the little bitty fish like me, but he also presses people like, you know, Eminem and Weezer, and he does big stuff. You know, like what's funny is we were in a record store in Yukon earlier this week, me and Joe, and he pointed up. He goes, "Oh, I printed that," and it was a Creedence Clearwater reissue that he had made. You know what I mean? So Joe's my buddy. I love him. I'm proud of him. And there you go. Joe probably made that.
He did.
Yep.
He did.
But-
This is a box that's on its way to Soule Gravy. It just hasn't got on it.
Okay. Yeah, Joe's the guy. So yeah.
That's cool. I imagine even as an artist, I think we talked about this a little bit on your pod, as far as just getting your music on like, you know, receiving that box off the trucks and then pulling it out for the first time, or
Yeah.
even like your test pressing. Just I imagine the nostalgia and the feeling of that is ridiculous.
It's pretty incredible, man. Like it's really cool to make a record. I mean, actually go back. Like it's really cool to be able to write a song. That's pretty fun, right? And then the privilege of getting to go to a studio. That's, you know, you're now in kind of a select group of people who've been able to work at a studio, right? And then like just being able to make maybe a CD or something, that's pretty cool. That puts you in an even smaller group of people. But then the idea of like getting to press vinyl, and you know, I have a couple records now on vinyl, and just that whole process. It's not, you know, Joe and his crew, they make it fairly painless, but it's not necessarily like a simple process. There's quite a bit that goes in just to make that other jump to
That's
vinyl.
wild.
And so something like, like I grew up on vinyl. So to have a vinyl with my face on it is like, wow, this is cool. So
Well,
anyway,
It's like the ultimate trophy.
yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's especially with guys like you and folks that are still able to hang out at the merch table. It's a cool thing to, even if you're not a vinyl person, it's still a cool thing to. I mean, you can buy a shirt like I got this Wilder Blue shirt a couple nights ago.
Shout out to the Wilder Blue.
Exactly, and then we got this one signed by them. So to me, that's cool. Whether I ever drop a needle on this or not, just the fact of because there's this big hoopla about this some band named Cross Canadian Ragweed that's happening pretty soon, but just and Turnpike and all these guys, you never know where anyone is going from the time they sign this.
Right. Right.
And just to, I mean, yeah, you can have a shirt, and I love shirts too. But Joe did that record.
See, Joe?
I didn't want to say anything, but I was hoping so.
Joe does all the records, baby.
He does all of them.
But yeah, to me, it's the ultimate thing to take home from a concert, and I know that it puts gas in the tank for the artist to get down the road to the next thing. And I also know that it's a pretty substantial investment that takes a while to get that return on.
Sure.
So to me, that's important. So
Yeah.
Soule Gravy, I heard you gained credibility points with a family member or two on Thursday. Was that the case?
with my daughter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I interviewed Wilder Blue before their show, and they were opening for Flatland Calvary, and my daughter is like, I had asked her a while ago if she wanted to go, and she didn't like. Normally like if there's a show she wants to go to, she's asking me like, "You get tickets yet? You get tickets yet?" In that one, she didn't do that, so I wasn't sure where she stood. I knew she liked them, but apparently, I didn't know that much. But either way, I texted her on April 1st when I confirmed the interview, and she said, I said, "You want to go to Flatland?" She said, "Yes," in all capital letters, and then she's like, "You better not be messing with me. This better not be an April Fool's joke." But yeah, so I mean, it's been a mess here as far as weather wise. So me and her, the school was out. They canceled all the schools in this area for weather. So she went and to the interview, and so we were waiting on Wilder Blue. They were struggling. They had trouble getting to the venue because of the weather, and then so we were hanging out, and then all the Flatland guys are just walking around the venue. You feel like you're not supposed to be there as a fan. But she's like, and she knows all the band name. You know what I mean? She's that. At 17, she knows the fiddle player and all of them. She's like, that's Jason, that's Adam, and I'm like, go talk to him. She's like, no. And then Cleto walked by, and she's like, still fangirling out, and so yeah, she was happy. And then during the interview, the Wilder Blue guys were messing with her. You could tell the ones that are parents.
Yeah. Yep.
They were like, "So, you going to be a tour manager?"
Yeah, that's right.
And I was like, "She does like to tell people what to do." So
That's
Pretty
perfect.
good at that.
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Well, that's cool, man.
No, she was, and even the guys made sure we were on the front on the rail, and the guys in Wilder Blue made sure she got a set list, handed it to her, so she felt good about that one and all that kind of stuff. And then afterwards, we met them at the merch table to sign the vinyl, and she was all, they just did extra with her, so
Yeah.
it was real cool. They were like, "Hey, we know you."
Yeah. All those guys are great guys. I've known all those guys for a long, long time.
They had a long day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Between the weather and the setup and everything else, and they still made time to. So that's really cool. And as soon as I walked in with my Standard Hatworks hat on, one of them had a Standard Hatworks shirt on, and then two of them were wearing one of Cameron's hats.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
before the show ever started, they already had one on. I was like, yeah, it kind of broke the ice right off the
Yeah, I was
bat,
gonna say that's a good icebreaker right there.
Just right quick, any of the artists that pop through, my recommendation is if you're interested in, potentially doing some actual albums, make sure you follow Joe Fink on here.
Yep.
So it's at Joe Fink, and he will get you scored away. There
Yeah,
he is.
Hippie Joe. I cannot suggest Joe and Hand Drawn enough, man. They make the process as easy as it could be, and they will work with you, and they love us little guys. So, print a record.
That's great to have.
Do it.
All right. You can go to the next one. Is it time to move on
Time
to
to move
to
on.
track?
It is time to move.
This is going to be the longest album review of all
Yeah,
time.
right.
Sorry.
That's-
Sorry, Zach.
Yeah.
Hey, man, it's all good. I can
Well-
talk about music all day.
Well, and to be fair, if you did need to bounce at some point, you're more than welcome to do what you need to do. All right. So here's the track number 3. Time to move on. Our buddy Ward Davis has a cut of the song.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, he does. Okay, I didn't even. Ah. Didn't think of that.
It's time to move on. It's time to get going. What lies ahead, I have no way of knowing. But under my feet, baby, grass is growing. It's time to move on. Time to get going.
So it's interesting. Like, this is a train beat.
Broken
This is a country train beat on the drums, right?
to the airport. She's
Straight
an
up just
defector,
honky tonk.
conscientious objector, now her own protector.
And it doesn't stand out so bad because it doesn't have the guitar with it.
Right.
Which way to love land?
Well, typically on a train beat like this, you know, the bass and the guitar would rock into that downbeat, that, you know what I mean? But what they did was they kind of flipped it. They moved the accent over one beat. And so now you don't have the train thing. When the drum's still doing a train beat, but everything accents off. One beat still kind of pushes you forward instead of.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't think clicks were used on this album. Pretty sure.
Sometime later, getting the words wrong, wasting the meaning and losing the rhyme. It's nauseous adrenaline, breaking up a dogfight like a deer in the headlights, frozen in real time. I'm losing my mind. It's time to move on, time to get going. What lies ahead, I have no way of knowing. But under my feet, baby, grass is growing. It's time to move on.
Again, with the clean guitars in '94. The clean guitars, like.
That's great.
And the slide is so far back in the mix.
Yeah, way back.
Yep.
It's time to move on, time to get going. What lies ahead, I have no way of knowing. But under my feet, baby, grass is growing. It's time to move on, it's time to get going. It's time to move on, it's time to get going.
Did you see? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm on.
Yeah, you got it.
Did you see Not Charlie's comment?
I did.
That's cool.
Yeah,
pretty
an
cool.
autographed version of this album. I mean, I would be stoked to have just the original version of it. Nevertheless,
Right.
yeah, that's
Right?
But to pull it out of a band,
Yeah,
like,
Hey, Charlie, what's your home address the next time?
so that
Don't mind
song, yeah, that song wasn't a release or a single at all or anything like that.
it's a real contrast with those drums. So those drums make me think of like Johnny Cash, and then
For sure.
on a lower level, but then to have kind of Petty's floating voice, it's an interesting.
Yeah.
It's not something you hear every day.
Yeah.
Not sure I described that the best, but you know what I'm talking about.
It says that he was shooting for a Buffalo Springfield fill.
Okay.
Which
I would
I'm
say he
not-
got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not.
nailed it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought about that, but that's
Yeah.
what he's said. They had a song called "Go Say Goodbye," and he was reminiscing of that song.
Little plot twist: it was on a CD and not an album for the autograph.
Okay.
So
We'll take
here's
it.
my
We'll
deal.
still allow it.
How
Yeah.
how bad is stuff? Like, how bad are things going on in your life that you got to unload that?
Oh yeah,
Right?
As
Like, I
far
feel
as-
bad for the person that had to.
Let go of the CD.
Man, I can't.
That feels like a breakup.
or just somebody that didn't know what they had and they
Didn't
got rid of
realize
the
what
whole
they had?
box.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, he got dumped and left, and she's like, "I'm getting rid of his crap." What's this stupid CD with the scribbling on it? That's worth nothing.
Who's this Tom guy that wrote on my CD?
Yeah, an offload. Exactly, dude.
Tom's a dick.
That's an offload. Like, I'm getting rid of this dude, both physically and everything he's around.
It is interesting, but like buying vinyl from yard sales and wherever else, I have tons of stuff where people have written their names on it or written just random notes or anything,
Yeah.
the real the nerds of it would hate that, and I'm like, I kind of want to know who these people are,
the
So, like
backstory.
property of Charlie, whatever. I'd be like, okay, I want to know who this Charlie guy is, and was it from around here or did it wind up like, how did it, if it wasn't from here, how did it
Right.
get here,
Yeah.
Right.
But
I
of
found
course-
I found a record one time. I think it was the Osmonds. It was when they were all still really young, and they were all still wearing like the matching outfits and stuff. And I think it was at the front of the record. It was just like it almost looked like one of those, the Olin Mills family photography,
Oh.
like one of those shots. But it stuck out. It stuck out to me because someone had taken like a blue ballpoint pen and drawn like mustaches, and, like devil horns, and like on every single face on it. And I feel I should have bought that record now, like, because years later, whenever something like this comes up, I think, man, I should have bought it just for somebody's graffiti or whatever.
Absolutely.
it would be a conversation piece and to hang on the wall or whatever the case
Yeah.
would be.
Well, Mormon stuff is hot right now. So.
Well, we can go on to the next one. The last song on this side of disc number one is probably it's a toss up between that one and two or three others, but
Yeah.
this one is fun to play with our little bar band. You Wreck Me.
Yes, sir.
What a great. I mean, this is just one of those songs that
This is the first overdriven guitar we've heard on the entire record. We're 15 minutes in.
that's cool. I didn't pay attention to that part of it. Whoops, the needle dropped too far. We're professionals, damn it. Here we go.
Not Charlie. Very cool. I want to see it.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song. Rescue me, should I go down if I stay too long in troubled town? Oh, just a high school dance. Run with me wherever I go, and just play dumb, whatever you know. Oh, yeah, you wreck me, baby. Yeah, you break me in two, but you move me, honey. Yes, you do. You wreck me, baby. Yeah, you break me in two. Oh, but you move me, honey. Ah, yes, you do.
All right, here's a question for Zach. I think this was actually played last night. Mickey, the Motorcars have a song called "Tonight We Ride."
Okay.
Any chance you think that was influenced?
I would certainly hope so. I mean,
We're a week late. We should have asked.
Yeah, right.
When we had Mickey on, but
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely that feel in Mickey and the Motorcar sound for sure.
yeah. And I mean, that would be the second title of the song if Petty didn't choose what he chose.
You wrecked me. Yeah. Yeah. I could definitely hear that. There's, like I said, there's a lot of similarities. I mean, if I'm being honest, like the very first Americana band was the Traveling Wilburys. That's the first Americana band.
I never thought about it that way, but that
Yeah,
kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, and Tom Petty is like a founding member of Americana. You know? Most people who are trying for Americana, if they got anywhere close to the Heartbreakers, they'd be like, "We did it, we did it." You
Is
know?
it? Is what we're looking for.
Yeah. So
Is that just because they didn't know where to put him?
you know,
As
I'm
far
not
as
sure.
that style is concerned, you know, as he's that line between country and rock and whatever else.
Yeah,
that,
I
like
would
the-
definitely say Tom Petty was a transitional artist. You know, it's interesting because rock and roll obviously what it was before he kind of came to the scene, right? So he kind of when he came on the scene, what was it, 88, 89, that first record, I think. But he was kind of doing what a lot of rock was doing in some ways, but for the most part, it was very different. Because like we said, in 88, 89, it was hairspray and spandex, you know.
Sure.
And he came in with a
Yeah.
acoustic guitar.
Well, the first album, like the Damn the Torpedoes, that was late 70s.
80.
Yeah,
or
that's right.
79
Yeah,
or 80,
that's right.
Yep. But then he didn't have another one for a decade,
Right. And
which is kind of wild.
yeah, he was a decade before that. That's right. Yeah.
You know, one thing that I always remembered and didn't know for sure, but I felt like he was always at battle with his label,
Yeah.
like in some way, and that's kind of Americana to a certain extent.
Yeah. Have you ever heard the story of his first signing? The way he got signed first. You know, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, they're all Florida guys. And they were on their way from Florida to LA to try to start shopping for a label. And man, I'm going to have to look it up now. But there was a guy in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And yeah, this was in the Mud Crutch era. You guys ever heard of Mud Crutch?
Yeah. Crush for sure.
So they actually got picked up first. Their first signing was for the church studio in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Because the producer there, he basically cut them off. They were on their way through, and he said, "Hey, why don't you swing up to Tulsa and maybe look at our studio?" And that's how they got their first record. But even that kind of plays into the whole Americana sound. I think probably making a record in Tulsa, Oklahoma would affect that. But
That church, I think that church studio is still live and going, or has been redone, or there's something or has been redone, or there's something I've seen relatively recently on that.
Yeah, it's still moving. It's still going, I
Okay.
think. Yeah. So, yeah, and that place is, I mean, Church Studio is like, let's see, the band Kansas, Willie Nelson, Stevie Wonder, Michael Bolton, Eric
Nobody I've ever heard
Clapton,
of.
Bonnie Raitt. Like, that's like the first sentence. There's like 30 other names I haven't even got to yet.
That's
That
cool.
that studio kind of knows what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, feels like it.
So,
We were talking about the Last Dance of Mary Jane thing earlier, and it was recorded as part of this album, and then was Stan Lynch's last session with the band before they parted ways, and it was then it was decided to be put on the Greatest Hits album in '93.
yeah.
So
Very cool.
that's crazy. Like I said, the fact that it would be and that was for, if I'm not mistaken, the Greatest Hits was supposed to be on MCA. I was thinking that's where that kind of came in, as there was this dispute between Warner Brothers and MCA as far as him getting out of that contract. I think the Greatest Hits album was, and possibly that movie soundtrack was the way for him to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
But still, just to have that many songs in the bank, to do 3 projects and still have to trim and still want to do a double album.
Right. Yeah. And still leave songs off. That's what's nuts. That's what's crazy. Yeah.
The first one on the next track is still I mean, that's the crazy thing about this album to me, is how it does have it's got a lot of laid back songs, but then the songs that do have driving guitar are extremely, they're in that, I mean, like, if you were listening to this song driving down the interstate, you would probably be slowing down,
Yeah.
and then then hit 95 on on the songs in between.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Absolutely.
So the next one on side 2 is it's good to be king.
A couple things I want to say real quick. You Wreck Me was the first drum fills and the first distorted guitar we heard on the record. So that was 2 things I want to say about the last song. There were no drum fills or overdrive yet, but and on Good to Be King, this has one of my like top 10 favorite guitar solos in It's Good to Be King. So be listening for
Oh,
that.
yeah. Okay.
in another
Okay.
couple minutes. Yeah.
I think of the piano intro part as kind of what comes to mind for me. I'll have to pay attention on the guitar part. Here we go. It's just crazy how many simple things they could do and make it sound so cool.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're talking pretty clean drums, clean guitar, and piano. Like in '94, when everybody else was making, it's the same year Snoop Dogg put out his record.
Just for a while, to be there in velvet, yeah, to give them a smile. It's good to get high, but never come down. It's good to be king of your own little town. Yeah, the world would swing. Oh, if
I really resonate with that
I were
line. The
king.
world would swing if I were king. Another Hangman song.
Can I if I still dreams of the time? It's good to be king.
And to be fair, you don't know how it feels also could be a Hangman song.
Oh yeah, yeah.
At the end of the day,
I mean, honestly, if we're
when you
time to
both
move
are
on,
gone,
that's kind of a Hangman song.
your canary
You Wreck Me.
Also,
you're out there with winners. It's good to be king. Yeah, I'll be king. When
Kevin down
dogs get wings,
little line right there. It always gave it like a Beatles feel to me. You know what I mean? A couple seconds of that. Here it is.
It's good to be king and have your own world. It helps to make friends. It's good to meet girl, a sweet little queen who can't run away. It's good to be king, whatever it pays. Excuse me if I have some place in my mind where I go.
Yeah, definitely
time
starts
to
to have this feel
time.
right there. That little passage.
Cynthia, respectfully, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. That's a Colby Acres line.
Man, remember that, like, this is another example of being different in this time. Like this long outro like this, you know?
Yep.
This long instrumental. It's still got several seconds left right now. Probably, what, 20, 30 seconds left now still?
It's got exactly 50 grooves left.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
About this much.
Yeah, about that much right there.
That sounds like they brought in Bruce Hornsby there on the.
Yeah,
Or
it does
something,
feel.
I don't know. There's
got
something
that feel, too.
different, right?
And was a radio single. So
At 5 minutes and 10 seconds, it was a radio single. That's incredible. Yeah.
So something you mentioned earlier about the songs they cut from the album. Let's see if I can find that now. Anyway,
You get,
yeah.
get your intern on it, Soule Gravy.
Apparently, I clicked out of that tab. But those songs made it to the movie soundtrack that I was talking about. She's
Right.
the One.
Yep.
And it was all recorded during the Wildflowers session. So, like I said, you got the single of "The Last Dance of Mary Jane" on MCA, and then the "She's the One" album were basically all.
Warner Brothers.
It was on Warner Brothers, but it was all songs that didn't make it onto the Wildflowers album.
Yeah.
So again, just ridiculous how many songs it was. And that song that's on that, that they actually released one as a single from that movie. It's called. Goodness, what is the name of it? Walls. Walls is the name of it. And that's a petty song I found way later, and it's a great song.
It's a great song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So again, and it didn't make the album either. So which is
Right.
just weird.
Well, it's funny because that session, the Wallflower session, lasted almost 2 years. Like from July 20th, 92 to April 29th, 94.
Wow.
So, a lot of artists, I don't think people realize it, but a lot of artists, what we'll do is we'll just, it's so nice to just take a month or two off and just lock yourself away in a studio, but a lot of times that just isn't feasible. So you'll grab 1 or 2 days here and there, hey, we're home for 4 days. Let's put a day and a half or two in the studio real quick, try to put some more work on this,
And then Zach, imagine having the kind of, I don't want to say unlimited budget, but like you don't it's different when you
Nearly
run
every
into the studio and you have that pressure of this is costing an insane amount of money.
Exactly. Yeah, when I go to the studio, it's like we are on the clock, boys.
Gotta get
we,
chopping.
we don't have Warner Brothers saying, no, that's okay. Throw another 10K at it. You know, we don't have that. So.
To take 2 years of studio time.
Yeah, it's
is
fine.
insane, right?
I mean, my last record took 2 years, but it wasn't because I was, Tom Petty taking my time.
Right.
Was that just piecing it together as far as recording a couple songs here and a couple
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
part of the problem with Mud and Sunshine is that I went back and completely redid the second half, all of the
Okay.
Mud and Feedlot Cowboys. We recorded those kind of backwards. We did the vocals and all the melody parts first, and then I went back and completely recorded some of those things, and then we added bass and drums after the fact, which is really backwards from the normal process. So it took a little bit longer, and plus, I have a little bit of the Jeff Lynne in me, so there are certain things that we will go back and play with just because once you put it on vinyl, it's there. You know what I mean? You can't go back and edit it after it's been pressed. So
I gotta think that's a fine line.
it is.
Knowing how much you want to tweak on something, but then also having that almost kind of consume to where you don't finish things. I
Yeah.
mean, that's purely from an outsider's point of view, but I
Well,
would
it's
imagine
true.
that's a fine line to manage.
There's a really delicate balance you have to find there between giving the song what it needs, but also being realistic about things like time and money.
Right.
And honestly, to be just brutally honest, like how much does it actually matter to the listener? There's certain things that an artist might really stress out over, and like I said, do the Jeff Lynne thing. It's like, no, we got to record that tom again 16 times or whatever.
Right.
You can really go down that rabbit hole, but it's also important to understand that most regular people, your just everyday normal audience member, right? They don't know. They don't
Notice the
necessarily
difference.
even,
Right.
well, and not only that, but they don't necessarily care a lot of the times,
Right.
right? Like
What's wrong with those people?
well, I know that sometimes I get really caught up in like the gear that I'm using, and I want to make sure it's the right microphone or the right rack gear or whatever. And in the end, the listeners, they don't care and they don't know. They just, they would rather have something to listen to than to have to keep waiting for you to get whatever they're waiting on perfect. Right. And like I just put out a record that I mastered at Abbey Road. Like there's not a better studio on the planet to work with. And it's funny, like I've now been to the very top of the mountain, and it's kind of like, wow, it doesn't matter. No one cares. It's like, okay.
Or the amount of people that care is
Yeah, the amount of people that care is really small. It's like my musician buddies, they care,
badass. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you tell some fans and they're like, oh, that's cool. And some fans, they don't really make the connection. So in the end, I think the fan just wants to get to hear the music. Of course, we want it to be as excellent as possible. But in the end, it's better to have something that the people can hear than to just be twisting the knobs, just all, oh, nope, yes, no, like after a while, nobody cares, man. Get it out.
Isn't it kind of weird as far as I'm sure even you as an artist, some of your favorite things that you've ever listened to are songs that have mistakes or are not perfect. But then when you go in the studio, do you catch probably have to talk yourself out of not being perfect?
Well, it's hard because in the studio, perfection can really take over, and you might like that Jeff Lynne thing. No, I want to play it again. I want to play it again. Then after a while, you kind of have to say, "Hey, man, I think we got it."
As good as we
That's why it's good to have other musicians around you who can kind of help say, "No, man, that sounds fantastic. I think it's great. That's what
Right.
we need." John Grossman, Johnny Keys, he's amazing at that. We'll get in the studio and he's really good about kind of setting those boundaries, not only for himself but other people. You know, there was an instance I remember vividly where we had some other people kind of helping out, and they were saying, "Well, do you want to try that again, Johnny?" And he just straight up said, "I got it. You know, as good as I can get it, we've got it. And if we don't have it in the takes, then we're not going to get it." Like he was saying, it's there. You know, so we need to stop, you know, beating the dead horse, or so to speak.
Yeah.
But it is. It's a definite. You got to find the middle there. You know.
Zach, can you, for everybody who may not be familiar, can you tell us who John Grossman is?
John Grossman, also known as Johnny Keys, he's the keyboard player for Uncle Lucius, but he plays with a lot of people. He plays with Shiny Ribs. Let's see, he plays with. Oh shoot, I've just forgotten his name. I can see his face. Tyler. Oh my Lord, I've just forgotten his
It's
name.
okay. Hold on.
Anyway, John is just one of the most musical, just purely musical people I've ever met in my life. When you get around that guy, just the music seeps from his pores, and any instrument that you put in his hands, he can play. And I mean, I'm talking guitar, bass. I don't know. I've never seen him play drums, so I can't say that. But like piano, accordion, harmonium. The dude's just ridiculous. He's one of my favorite musicians ever. So,
And he's played on quite a bit of your stuff, right?
yeah, he's played all the keys on my last two records, Evergreen and Mud and Sunshine. So, and probably going to be playing a whole lot more keys for me in the future.
Nice.
All right. Head to the next one.
Yeah.
I gotta get all my fun facts in. I just realized I made notes.
There. Well, you can add notes
I'll
over top
feather
of.
them in as we go, but I just
Okay.
realized I had not been looking at my notes.
Professionals, dang it.
Yeah, the outro's still going.
Yeah.
This is when Joe would come in on the radio, like right at the end.
That's right. Yeah. More strummy acoustic.
Here comes that feeling
Very Beatles.
Yeah, definitely.
I've seen in your eyes back in
You know, we're kind of back to the simple drums.
days.
We're back to the clean guitars.
The hard times, but I'm not afraid anymore. It's only a broken heart. I know the place where you keep your secrets out of the sunshine down in a valley, but I'm not afraid anymore. It's only a broken heart. What would I give to start all over again? To clean
Yeah, I haven't heard an electric guitar yet.
mistake. Stand in the moonlight, stand under heaven, wait for an answer, hold out forever, but don't be afraid anymore.
Benmont Tench on the mellotron. Like, got clean drums, clean acoustics, and a mellotron.
It's what everybody uses, you know?
Yeah. Especially at the same time that, you know, Snoop Dogg's released Doggy Style. It's exactly the same.
I think that's what any artist would wish they could do, is just go in the studio and play "Be You"
Yeah.
with. I mean,
that's success, right?
he's clearly influenced by a bunch of people, but
Yes. Well, that's success.
but not chasing whatever is going on at the time.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
crazy.
Yeah, totally outside the normal sound everybody else is doing. Yeah. It's interesting. That's an acoustic 12-string guitar used for a lead part. That's a very
Don't see that
interesting approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since we like to play games, Soule Gravy, what do these people have in common?
Okay.
Dakota Fanning, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't think I
Giannis.
got it. You know who I'm talking about, Giannis.
Yeah, the basketball player. Yes.
Yes. Justin Bieber, Harry Styles, Bad Bunny, Little Baby. What do all those people have in common?
They all play 12-string acoustic guitar solo.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, they're all. Well, is Dakota? She's not musical. Is she? Does she play?
Dakota Fanning, she's an
Actress.
Actress,
right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
She's a child actress. I mean, I think she's still an actress, but
I'm not sure.
Let's hear.
all born in 1994.
Okay.
Wow. Oh God.
Makes us all feel old.
Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate that. I don't know why you did that to us, but
Here to help.
I was feeling so good about myself, and then you reminded me I'm in my mid-40s. Thanks.
Sorry,
man.
Jude. Yeah.
Yeah. Why, Talbot? Why?
Yeah, I was trying to find like the everything that Rick. Okay, here it is. Everything that Rick Rubin has been working on, right? And
God.
when was this time period? What?
This was
what did we say?
94.
94.
92,
So
94, I think is when.
all right.
Yeah,
So
he was
in
doing-
that same time period, there was and Andrew Dice Clay at Madison Square Garden. I didn't see that one coming. Danzig, Slayer,
Yeah.
Sir Mix-a-Lot,
Yeah.
Johnny Cash, American Record. I knew there was and then I knew there was a connection with the Johnny Cash American recordings because on one of those American, I don't remember which album it is. It's not the first one, but it may be 2 or 3. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers were the studio band for Johnny Cash on those recordings.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And Digital Orgasm apparently is a band. I'm familiar with their work.
It's a great name.
And Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, but just from the Cult, Danzig to Johnny Cash to Sir Mix-a-Lot, Slayer, Tom Petty, Andrew Dice Clay. That's about as all over the place as you can get. So, and that's within that
Next week we're gonna do,
93, 94.
Yeah, tune in next week. We're gonna do Sir Mix-a-Lot album.
There you go.
That'll be fun. Soule Gravy's gonna break down the lyrics
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do a interpretive reading.
and maybe an interpretive dance as well.
Please.
Oh my God.
Hey, well done.
All right.
Favorite song coming up?
Yeah, this is in one of my top songs in this record for sure.
It's got one of the meanest riffs
It does. It
ever.
does.
I
The
love.
song
I love.
is so fun to play. Yeah.
All right, I would love for our little bar band to do this one too, but we got to get them on that one.
Yeah.
Even for and if you haven't seen it, there's a because like they mentioned earlier, this was a time period where they were kind of in between drummers. They hadn't completely invited I forget his name now, the current drummer or the latest one into the mix, and on the SNL playing of this song, they invited Dave Grohl to play drums on that TV recording, and that was the first time Dave had played drums after everything happened with Nirvana. So,
right.
And if you look in the background, Dave is just beating the living shit out of those drums and slinging his head. Like he does not, you've seen the video of the drummer that doesn't match the band, that is that situation. Like his cymbals are sky high, his hair is flying everywhere.
Yeah.
And then there's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. It's a great video, and I think he kind of credits that as getting him back into music as far as Dave Grohl is concerned. So
that would definitely do it.
Yeah.
Go sit on stage with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. You'll be okay. You'll be all right, kid.
But there's the drums bring that in, this song in, and when he does that on that SNL, like he is literally just tearing them up. It's crazy, and I think they kind of were taken back by a little bit on stage. So, go watch that YouTube video if y'all haven't ever seen it before.
All right, here we go. A little number we call "Give Me Some Sugar, Little Honey, Natural Bee."
I'm wrong. It's a guitarist version. That's right, Joe. He did. Tom did ask him to join.
I got to tell you, being 14 years old, hearing that guitar riff, like, there were parts of my brain that were not previously activated. And when I heard that, it was like, oh.
So mean.
Yeah. There's a lot of times when I'm just messing around in that riff, it just falls out like, oops, sorry.
Is it doubled up right there?
Yeah.
Nice.
They doubled those guitars, yeah. I think on this one, if I remember correctly, I've seen a video of them playing it live. And I think both Tom and Mike play electric guitar on this one.
I think so.
Tom doesn't get as much. He doesn't get his flowers for being as good a guitar player as he is. But on those parts where it's doubled up, it's Tom and Mike. I'm almost positive that it's those two playing.
Especially live.
Yeah, playing the actual riff, So Tom's got the chops. There's another great solo right here.
I want to know what he's saying through all of that.
Yeah.
Like, Mike's over there tearing it up, and he's like just mumbling stuff. Like
$20. I still say that all the time, and people don't get the reference. I'll just say $20. No, you're not.
It also proves that we sweat too much over lyrics because he's just making shit up right there, and it's great.
Well, sometimes the lyrics, the best way to serve a song is to not get in the way of, this is guitar part.
Yeah,
This is the
you're
guitar
right.
part. And so sometimes the best way for the lyrics to serve it is like supplement the guitar, right?
So writing this song, the guitar probably came first.
Yeah, I would think this is one of those where either Tom or Mike played that riff and they both went, whoop, hold on, what's that? You know, like, and then let's see what we can do with that. Yeah. Often.
We'll just let it keep playing on to the next one,
Yeah.
so we can catch up some time. It's a kind of quick song anyway.
Yeah.
It looks like it has about 150 grooves on it.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Man, Honeybee, I used to play that with the very first kind of country band I was in with Chancey Bergson. And that was one of the first times I felt like a rock star. Was when we...
Maybe we should bring it back for a cameo.
Just because it's so mean to play.
Yeah, just, you know, we were up there with two guitar players and just, it was, everybody hit it right. And it was like, oh, yeah, this is the way it's supposed to feel.
That's definitely one of the drums on the steering wheel songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When those drums come in like that, everybody.
I think we're just going to 10 today, Judes.
I might play them after we, officially end the thing. But yeah. And Tabo, I'm trying to as conversation goes, I'm trying to turn the volume up and down. So
Yeah, all good.
I'm trying to mix it as we go. So.
So this is another one that totally uncharacteristic. Like that's some kind of some open tuning acoustic blues guitar that we're hearing. You know,
Above all, you were my friend. So don't
also got a little bit of like a Led Zeppelin feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
don't fade on me.
That's right, Doc.
Well, your clothes hang on a wire, and the sun is overhead. But today you are too weary to even leave your bed. Was it love that took you under, or did you know too much? Was it something you could picture, but never could quite touch? Don't fade. No, don't fade on me. So don't wait on me.
Okay, so on that track, it was just Mike Campbell and Tom Petty playing acoustic guitar. Like there's nothing else on that track.
That sounds like something that would have been on those Johnny Cash albums.
Yeah, yeah. I love those American. Gosh, I love those.
I didn't appreciate those when they first came out as a young person. But as I got older, and then you hear those, it's like, okay, at first, especially a lot of people that just love traditional Johnny Cash, they didn't necessarily get it.
Right.
But then, like, looking back on it, it aged extremely well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zach, can you talk a little bit about sequencing? So,
Okay.
for me, the Only a Broken Heart with Honeybee right next to it is really interesting.
Yeah.
And I know that's
Well, I
those
was
are
about to
things that
say-
you think about when you're putting together.
Yeah. They definitely built. I don't know if you guys have ever, like you guys have heard of Kurt Vonnegut, the writer, right? And he has this idea of like he calls them storyline, and what that means is not necessarily like the line of the story, but like it's kind of a chart. It looks kind of like a, like the story starts where the the main character's here, and then he has a problem, and then he gets out of it, right? And when you're sequencing a record, you kind of want to do that. You want to take them on a journey, right? And if you'll notice here, we've got kind of a down-up pattern that we're making. Like Wildflowers is fairly low. And then we go up, You Don't Know How It Feels, and then Time to Move On. You Wreck Me goes back up. It's Good to Be King kind of comes back down. Only a Broken Heart goes even lower. And then you go way up with Honeybee, and then you go all the way back down to a song with just vocals and acoustic. So it's that idea of like, you kind of want to pull the listener from side to side. Because if you, let's put all the mid songs, the mid-tempo songs here, and then we'll put all the big ones here in a block, and then it just doesn't feel, believe it or not, it feels like disjointed because you get in this little situation there where you're like, okay, we're just grooving. We're doing like this 110 beats a minute, just chilling, right? Well, after about 4 minutes of that, your brain gets bored, and your ears get bored, and you're probably going to miss out on the next 2 or 3 songs because your brain's not paying enough attention to kind of pull the songs apart. So when it's the juxtaposition thing, the contrast. So you put Wildflowers, super chill, and then You Don't Know How It Feels. What you get is this peak and this valley, and the brain, the ears really respond to that because you get pulled in different directions. And honestly, this record is one of the, for me, it's one of the records that I kind of realized and learned about sequencing because of this. You could take, let's see, Wildflowers, Time to Move On, It's Good to Be King, and Only a Broken Heart. And if you played those end on end, you'd get bored, even though we just listened to these and we're not bored. But that the breakup makes a huge difference to the human ear. So the sequencing on this is brilliant.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And we didn't really talk about this, but Wildflowers. So I don't know if is that the most popular song on the album, probably, or commercially?
No, probably You Don't Know How It Feels.
Yeah, I was going to say You Don't Know How It Feels or You Wreck Me. I feel like those would be the top 2, but
Yeah,
I remember It's Good to Be King and the other one, You Don't Know How It Feels. I think You Don't Know How It Feels was the bigger hit.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like You Don't Know How It Feels topped at 1 on the U.S. mainstream and 13 on the Billboard. And You Wreck Me topped at 2.
Okay.
And it looks like it didn't even make the Billboard.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, so that song specifically, like, kind of happy sounding. I mean, it's chill, Wildflower specifically, but also pretty dark. Like,
Yes.
it's it's one of those songs. We talked about that Jinx song, the David song that is,
Right.
like pretty happy sounding, but then
Mm-hmm.
once you listen to it, you're like, oh, this is not a happy song. You
Right.
know?
Well, the ultimate
love
one on that
those
is you Are My Sunshine. Like
Yeah.
everybody thinks that's a super sweet song, and it
No,
is.
it's
It,
not.
it is not. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
It's pretty dark in the last verse.
Those are some of my favorite.
I've heard them like that played at a wedding, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you didn't pay
Spotty
attention.
choice.
Yeah, you didn't pay attention to the last verse.
Yeah, right. Most people
There's-
never hear the last verse. They don't
No,
know.
no, no. It's just the first, which is
Yeah.
understand. It's a great first, but you don't get to the point where if you don't stay with me, you know,
Yeah, right.
you're unalived.
Yeah, that's right.
Those are the folks that Zach is not spending extra time
Oh.
in the studio for.
So,
That's right.
What do you kind of take a similar approach on your live show set?
Absolutely. Live is a little different because it's so well. It's live. It's alive. The room has real people in it, you know, and it's one of the reasons I don't ever write a set list for my shows. We just kind of go up and we play what it feels like the room wants next.
That's
And the rooms are different from night to night. You know, sometimes we'll play, you know, a couple rockin' songs and it doesn't seem like the room responds. And then we'll play like one kind of slow dance song and then the dance floor is full. And we kind of know, all right, tonight's kind of a love song night. And then we'll go to the very next show and it'll be the exact opposite. No one responds to the slow ones, but you play upbeat stuff and the room just comes alive. So for me, it's pretty much the same idea of you don't want people to get bored. You want to kind of keep pulling them in different directions to keep them on their toes. But for live shows, man, I just whatever the room tells me is what I give them. And also I know I've found this recently to be very rare, but we also take a lot of requests in my shows. So if someone, you know, if we're between songs and someone screams,
So rarely he's not going to share it with us. Oh.
yeah, right. If someone goes, you know, middle of the night, we'll play that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but it's that same idea. You want to keep them interested. Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
You cut out there for a second, or at least you did for me. I don't know.
No, I heard you.
Oh, did you? Okay. Well, sorry. Must be my crappy internet.
I could see that as far as like you know how bands have that one song that that people are yelling for. In one way, you can go ahead and get that over with, and
Yeah.
you know. Also, I'm a fan of. I mean, I understand why click tracks are needed in certain situations for bands, but I really appreciate like what you're talking about, and American Aquarium and all these different bands, even Cody Canada and the Departed and all those, you know, ones that can. They're not on a click track and they're just jamming. Like like I said, I understand in certain situations, stadium shows, all these different things. If you're trying to put on a certain kind of show, I understand why click tracks are needed. But maybe the musician or the nerd part in me, I enjoy the mess ups like we were talking about with the studio stuff, and when they can just jam.
Yeah. When you've got the right players, it's interesting because when you have the right group, and I'm not even saying it has to be like the best. I'm not saying you have to have the best bass player, the best. But if you have the right group that understands kind of the jam idea, you know, everybody who plays with me, I have a lot of musicians that sit in with me and stuff. And one thing I always tell them, you know, we're a songwriter-based jam band. So yeah, we've got these, you know, we have to serve these songs, but at the same time, we're gonna have fun. If we want to throw another instrumental on that chorus, we're just gonna do it, you know. And if you have the right people, you know, Cody.
All you got to do is look at them and
Yeah.
they know
And,
where
you
you're
guys
going.
Like Cody Canada, guys like that, they can definitely just say, "Hey, we're gonna do this," and everybody comes, "Oh, okay," and then you just kind of do it. That really only comes with the reps, doing it lots, you know. But
Speaking of shows coming up, I know you've got a couple that are more of the kind of listening rooms, I guess.
That's
Well,
right.
one of them for sure is a listening room. I don't know about
Yeah,
the
this
other, but
month
can you
I'm-
tell us what you got going on.
yeah, this month it's weird. I have some months where I don't do any full band shows. I'm only doing solo stuff, and that's this week or this month. Tomorrow I'm playing the Post in Fort Worth with Courtney Patton for her Sunday Supper Club. So that'll be kind of like a song swap type deal. You know, no band, it's just us two up there with guitars and our songs. So what's interesting is I'm doing that one tomorrow, and then I'll be back at the Post to do a solo show by myself on the 25th or 6th. I can't remember. It's here in a few Fridays at the right back at the Post in Fort Worth.
25th.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, which those are, you know, a lot of those solo shows are pretty much all requests. I'll start the show with one or two songs, and then after that, it's about 90 minutes of tell me what you want to hear. I'll play your song. You know, the joke I always tell people is that if there's a Zach Wilkerson song you'd like to hear, I probably know it. That's only partly a joke. You know what I mean?
Do you get those stumped every now and then when people pull out a song?
You know, it's funny. I have been stumped a couple times. You know, there's one song that I don't ever play live. It's the song "Scar" off my Dust Bowl Soul record, and that's really just because I kind of keep that one separate for my friend that I wrote it for. I had a friend pass away, and that song is really about, you know, working through that. So I kind of keep that one off the table just because, well, I don't know. It'd be kind of hard to get through it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Understood.
So that one I keep off the table. But every once in a while, someone will ask me for something that is not on the usual rotation, you know, kind of a deep cut. and I've been got a couple times. You know, I can admit that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's flattering though.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool when people ask for those songs. You know, I have a couple songs. I probably shouldn't tell about them because now I'm going to have to relearn them. But I have a few songs that I never put on records, and I just made YouTube videos of them.
Oh.
Every once in a while, people will come and ask for those songs, you know, that's when I know, okay, this person's been trying to find out about me.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to say. I'm sure it's flattering for anyone to ask for any song.
Yeah, it
you know,
really is.
Even your most popular song, but
It is.
but then
Yeah.
that's a whole nother level when it's like you said, something that's not even on an album or whatever
Yeah.
the case would be.
A super deep cut or something, you know. It really, I mean, it's a huge compliment because you realize, wow, people are actually paying attention to this, you know. Sometimes it feels like you make this stuff and just, you know, release it into the void. You know what I mean? It's like throwing a message in a bottle out in the ocean, and you kind of think, well, maybe someone will find it one day, you know. And when they do, it feels pretty cool. So
we talk about going to the, you know, buying merch and buying an album and all that kind of stuff to keep the boat floating, but also go, like he just said, go talk to them because
oh yeah,
that's not, you know, it's not gas money, but it's still fuel in the tank to keep artists going, to know that, you know, it's being received. So
yeah. I can't speak for every artist, but I know that when people want to come and talk to me, you know, kind of tell me their stories about how my songs are part of their story. You know, I know that in my life, there have been certain situations where a song was like a central, maybe not a central piece, but it was definitely a part of whatever was going on. And then when years later I hear that song, it takes me back to that place, to that spot, you know. And then when I have fans tell me that about my stuff, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of weird because I'm like, because I still feel like a fan, you know. I still feel like the guy who's not on the stage, who is looking at the music like, wow, this is so cool, you know, it's what they did sounds so good, and these guys are so cool. I still feel that way. And so when a fan kind of flips the script on me and puts me in that other position, for me, it's always kind of like, wait, what? You know, hold on. You know, I'm one of y'all.
Right.
I'm just one of y'all.
which as a fan makes it makes it even easier to pull for guys like you that have that feeling. So it makes it easier to pull for artists that are in the talk the way that you do or carry
Well,
yourself the way you do. So
man, I'm so blessed. Y'all, like, people like y'all have given me such a beautiful and privileged life. It's kind of, I don't know. I would have a hard time not wanting to at least talk to the people who've given me this beautiful existence that I have. You know what I mean? I'm very thankful for all those people.
Well, we're thankful for you.
Oh, thank you. Checks in the mail.
Cool.
all right, here we go. Go to the next one. Hard on me.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I've been looking through this. All of these songs could be Hangman songs. You know, you want to make it hard on me. Don't fade on me. I mean,
It's all I can do to keep that little girl smiling and keep my faith alive.
so here we are again. Super stripped down production.
Takes all
Super stripped down. You got sounds like a Telecaster, just
and you wanna make
not even doing any big power chords, you know.
you wanna make it hard on me. Some other time I'd be understanding. You were supposed to be the friend that I needed when I was down and out. You wanna make it hard. Yeah, you wanna make it hard on me. Maybe if I tried, I could turn the other cheek. Maybe, but how big do I have to be?
That's another little Beatles feel right there.
I have a hard time describing what I hear on drums, but just that, like those drums right there, they're alive. They're not.
Yeah,
They're
a
not
lot more movement.
like that's a lot of the stuff, especially these days. Like the drums are so muted and compressed that I don't. Like I said, I don't know the terms, but I know what I hear, and just to hear a live set like that is.
Well,
I
a lot
love
of
that.
drums these days, they use really hard compression and gates and EQ filters, and so the sound is like this big bouncing thing, and then it just gets like it gets squashed into these boxes. And that's really because there's so much going on. If you don't put everything in a box, it's like a page with a bunch of scribbles, if that makes sense.
Gets super muddy.
Yeah. But these are like wide open. You know what I mean?
I love being able to hear the tom, the doom.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I think they did a few takes on this one.
Yeah. Nice reverb on it too, you know?
I think it's partly like some of my favorite drummers are like Levon Helm and even Ringo. If you tried to make their drums sound like that compressed, like they would be pissed, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like half of what their sound is being able to really hear the drums.
Absolutely.
So we'll let it go on to the next one. This is another one of my favorite. Just another great guitar riff.
Another great guitar riff.
Technically, also a Hangman song.
Yeah. And that little chord change right there, that's straight up like American blues, rockabilly type.
You know who I would love to hear cover this song is Dwight Yoakam.
Oh,
That little
yeah.
now I can't unhear that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little honky-tonk piano in there.
I like how they layered the guitars too.
Yeah.
Cool. Really cool.
This definitely has a Pete Anderson feel all over this thing. I didn't think about that.
What was Pete doing in '94?
I can even see Dwight doing his little dance across the stage.
Yeah, right here.
It's perfect. That's a good one.
Turn it on soft and low. Baby, let's go to the cabin down below. Yeah, baby, let's go to the cabin down below. Oh, baby, let's love in the cabin down below.
That's another. That took us on another peak. You know, we went from Hard on Me, which is pretty low, cabin down below, and then back down again.
Yeah, so 94,
Okay.
Dwight recorded this time at Capitol Studios in Hollywood, so it would have been close by.
Okay.
And like thinking of like Fast as You,
Right.
like that. There's a lot of similarities.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Interesting if like they went and had drinks or something, we didn't know about it.
And
It's a story.
and that is two artists that I would have loved to sing together, collab together somehow.
Yeah.
Unlikely pairing, but also like neither have like perfect voices, but just ooze cool. Just
Right.
being their goofy selves are cool.
Yeah. Definitely the sounds are very complimentary. You know. I could see the Heartbreakers backing up Dwight Yoakam. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just letting it play to make up some time, but we can
good.
still talk about whatever.
Moved in and took over the house. Everybody was quiet as a mouse. And to change their lives, change their plans. Slowly they grew apart. Boy, would it
It's about divorce, I assume.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
the days went by like paper in the wind. Everything changed, then changed again. It's hard to find a friend. It's hard to find a friend.
I forgot.
It always reminded me of Johnny Cash, this part right here. But that's just because I'm always thinking about Johnny Cash.
And the days went by.
Good to have friends like that.
Yeah.
Everything changed, then changed again. It's hard to find a friend. It's hard to find a friend. And the days went by like paper in the wind. Everything changed, then changed again. It's hard to to find a friend. It's hard to find a friend.
This would definitely be in the Americana
Yeah,
category these days for sure.
for sure.
All right, that was to find a friend. The next one is a higher place.
Another Hangman song. Maybe.
I'd kind of forgotten about this one, to be honest.
Now this one to me, it's weird because this song feels the most like 90s to me.
Yeah.
Which is weird because the whole song came out in '94, but this is the one song that sounds,
Like something
Kind of
that
like-
could have been on the radio.
yeah, it just sounds very 90s rock, pop-ish or whatever.
Like Sister Hazel and
Yeah.
going blank. I had the yeah,
Almost
stuff like that.
Blind,
Exactly, that's kind of
Blind
exactly
Melon.
what I was thinking.
Who was that?
Blind Melon, kind of
Oh, yeah.
in that vein or whatever.
Yeah.
Not exactly the same, but similar-ish.
You mentioned the Benmont earlier. Well, all right.
Shout out.
Thank you.
Allie.
I'd recently found out that he did a lot of work with Lucinda Williams on her early stuff, and I didn't know that. Like the car wheels on the gravel road, that time period. Like Benmont is all over that stuff, and I didn't know that. So.
Yeah,
and Kenny Vaughn, that's a
right.
hell of a
Yeah.
pairing.
Boy.
Yeah, his Benmont Tench is no slouch, man. That's
Right.
like,
I mean, to be Petty's utility guy. Yeah, Judah does have like birds and that kind of thing.
yeah,
Which I think is what he started out on, right? Isn't a lot of that, the birds and that kind of cover stuff was early
Yeah.
Petty's.
Soule Gravy. This is headed your way, Soule Gravy. If you can see that, but steel guitar tribute to the Byrds.
Okay,
Yeah.
Nice.
So that'll be fun to listen to. It's a cool album.
very cool.
Someday those are going to come to you. For now, they're just going to sit in my room here. But our friend Joe gave us the hookup on that. So
yeah. Joe's got the hookup.
I don't even have a player.
Yeah, what is the deal with that?
I don't know. Just don't.
Come on, community. We need to get together and
Well,
get
no,
Pablo
I-
into the.
I think I threw away too many 8-tracks, cassettes,
Right.
and, CDs.
To go back down that.
Right.
Isn't it funny to be up to date in 2025? You need a turntable.
Actually, my daughter has one. I could go probably steal it.
There you go.
I mean, don't tell her, folks.
Well, this one's not bad. This one was like $100 at Walmart. This is one of the Audio Technica versions.
There you go.
Like I said, I have the main one is behind me, and but
That's
this
a
one,
fancy one, though, right?
yeah, it's a homemade one, or not homemade, handmade by a guy local here in Memphis.
Artisanal.
Yeah, it is. It has a motor with two different basically gears and then the turntable. So you have to take the flatter off and move the belt to go from 45 to like it is as
Nice.
basic as possible. Um, but it was my boss actually he bought a house, and when he did, they had all this old audio equipment in this room, and they were just left it. That was the only thing left in the house was this entertainment center with all these VHS tapes and this record player. And I got it, and it didn't work. And so I kind of started researching. I found that it was made by a guy local, and I called and talked to him. I'm going blank on the name of it now. It is the Merrill. George Merrill is his name. Merrill Analog Emporium in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
He makes all of his stuff in house. So I asked him, I'm like, is it worth me fixing? He was like, well, my beginner turntable start out at 1,500, and I'm like, okay, so it's worth me fixing.
Yeah.
So, and then everybody's like, did you tell your boss how much it was worth? I'm like, no.
No.
This
No.
is that bonus that I didn't get. So
That's
Did you tell
right.
George we have sponsorship opportunities at that price?
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah, no, he is in that that audiophile
Audiophile,
yeah, that's way above me. I have this turntable, so if it's scratchy or whatever, then I don't mind if it messes anything. The needle gets a little dirty or whatever. The other one I have to pay a little more attention to, but I'm still not on that level of,
Right.
those guys.
Man, like I was just talking about making records like at Abbey Road and stuff, and the audiophile guys. To me, I'm like, what? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like you care a little, like you were talking about people caring. They care a little too. Like
Yeah, it's like,
chill out a little bit.
Yeah, come on, man. Just
simmer down.
yeah, simmer down, baby.
All right. The next one is House in the Woods. It's a longer track. It looks like it's about 500
Yeah.
grooves.
Yeah.
5 minutes, 32 seconds.
That was close on 500 grooves then. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are. It's a correlation.
Yeah, this definitely has like a Beatles feel again, like a little help from my friends. That's what I hear, and it's
I always feel like it's sluggish, like they're just like trudging
Yeah.
through it. Like it'd be one if you're a drummer, you would naturally want to speed it up.
yeah, right.
I'm going down to the house in the woods. Say, my little darling.
Like I hear Stones.
For sure.
Out in the fields, it's summertime coming. And oh, my love, what can I do? What can I do but love you for the rest of my days, rest of my nights? What can I do but love you, babe?
So is it Stones because is it Stones because it feels like that drums are just about ready to fall apart?
Yeah.
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 Okay,
And
that
it
makes
and the vocals are so loose.
Right. Those
Could be loose and tight at the same
hitting
time.
those how everybody kind of hits that same, gives you this kind of loping feel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, babe, what can I do? What am I gonna do but trust?
Yeah, I think it's also the double vocals too, Talbot, as far as the Stones thing.
Yeah.
Little trailer.
What can I do but love you, babe?
Again, we're talking fairly clean guitars here, with the piano back there.
Which would not be the Stones.
Right.
Yeah, there's.
It's a very,
Elements, yeah.
it's very interesting because the elements they're using are very traditional and what some people might consider to be like not rock, right? But the way that they apply all those sounds, even that guitar back there, it's not super overdriven. It's fairly clean sound.
I want to replay that part again. That this where they added the break in the middle that doesn't seem like it should go there, but
Yeah.
I may have miscounted my grooves. The drum fill coming back and
About as big as the drums get. Like,
you mentioned have a little help from my friends.
yep.
That's an underrated track.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot about this one.
Some cool layers in there. Start the fuzz out there a little bit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Seeing that live would be great. Hey, Miss Shelby Stone.
It's cool they didn't jam up all the frequencies with those guitars, because sometimes when you get the two instruments that are pretty close, kind of competing for the same space, it can kind of
Right.
get like that was. I mean, whoever the engineer there, shout
Yeah.
out to them. That was pretty cool.
That one I always felt like is kind of like, well, I'll say this, like the last, I'd probably say 5 songs on this record. I feel like these last 5 songs, they always get slept on because it's a long record. And I think a lot of people's ears, they get definitely not bored, but maybe restless. You know, our ears have been trained to hear 10 or 11 songs. And then it's like, wait, where's the next record? You know? So I feel like these last 4 or 5 are always sleepers to me.
I can
but
see
this-
that,
but this
especially after
next
Cabin
song-
Down Below. I think.
Yeah.
It starts. I
Yeah.
agree with you because I'm guilty of that.
Right. And I mean, I only know that because I'm guilty of it too. But like Crawling Back to You, though, is one of my favorite songs on this record.
Yep.
Again, we're leading with piano. Little feedback slide guitar. This song always had kind of an 80s feel. It's got an 80s ballad feel to me.
Right.
Waiting by the side of the road for day to break so we could go down into Los Angeles with dirty hands and worn out knees.
drums down a little bit, it'd be like a hornbeat kind of feel.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The ranger came with burning eyes. The chambermaid awoke surprised. Thought she'd seen the last of him. She shook her head, let him in.
Yeah, definitely with that piano so far up front, got that horny feel a lot.
Crawling back to you. I keep crawling back to you. Hey baby, there's something in your eyes trying to say to me that I'm gonna be alright if I believe in you. It's all I wanna do. It was me and my sidekick. He was drunk and I was sick. We were caught up in a barroom fight till an Indian shot out the lights. I'm so tired of being tired. Sure as night will follow day. Most things I worry about never happen anyway.
It's a great line.
Yeah, it's a great line.
Crawling back to you.
Oh, I love your dog.
I keep crawling back to you.
No, I should go get Tom Petty. I have a wiener dog named Tom Petty. He should have been here this whole time.
Obviously. Got some cool stuff in there. Spying on Zach's.
Yeah.
I keep crawling back to you. I keep crawling back to you.
My friend Kent and I have a 3 o'clock today, so I'm gonna be
Is that
bouncing
the,
up against it.
Hood and
Yeah, Eric Willis, Taylor Honeycutt, Adam Hood. Yeah. Come on up to Prosper, folks. Be a fun day out in the rain. Yeah, what's up, Tom?
Here we go. This is Tom Petty. The old man.
Looks like a happy dog.
He
So
was snuggled up. I couldn't find him. He's a little unhappy with me now. He was in a blanket, all warm, so.
Oh,
Okay.
You follow your dreams. You follow the leader into the trees.
So I always told this joke, to make the kids roll their eyes, the dad joke, and then not long ago, I guess a couple weeks ago, Adam Hood posted a meme of this same joke. I think it was not a meme, a picture of I think it was at a bar or something. And I was like, okay, so now I know why we're all friends, because
Yeah.
he posted the same corny joke. Was why did the cowboy get a wiener dog? Because he wanted a long little
Long
doggy.
little doggy.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
No.
I'm disappointed.
There you go. I'm talking about you, Thomas.
So hard to please somehow.
It's like, can we get the blanket back?
Like a poor boy a long way from home. You're just a poor boy a long way from
This is another one that the production's so interesting because this is a piano song. You know, this is a piano song at the same time grunge was taken out, right?
And Wake Up Time is the last song instead of Sleepy Time or whatever.
I think the last time I saw him, he finished with this song. Not only finished the album, but finished his show with this song, which is pretty cool.
It's a nice send off.
Yeah, it's great.
I never got to see Petty live.
Yeah.
It's on Kemper Arena in Kansas City.
They played at a theater in downtown called the Orpheum, which anybody that ever plays there, tickets are pricey because of the capacity.
Right.
So I talked myself out of not buying those tickets because, you know, a couple $100 a piece at the time. Now I wish I would have just bought the tickets and went.
Now it's worth it, yeah.
Wake up time. Time to open up your eyes.
Charlie saw him 5 times.
Yeah. I'm jealous of that.
And shine. Well, if he gets lucky, a boy finds a girl to help him to shoulder the pain in
One of the best Tom Petty covers is the Southern accents that the Steelwoods does, especially live.
Seen that.
You might find the forest there in the tree.
This one's soaring. Like kind of has that soaring quality to it.
Yeah, you'll be alright. It's just gonna take time. But now who could have seen you'd be so hard to please somehow? You're just a poor boy, a long way.
It's almost nursery rhyme-ish.
Yeah. Well, it kind of, to me, it's got that same feeling as the first track, Wildflowers.
Oh yeah.
Like
There's a
that.
bookend quality to
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's got kind of that, like, benevolent grandfather type feel to it, you know? Talking
Way
to,
to put it. Yep.
trying to, like, I don't know, I'm a dad, so, you know, when you're a dad, like, there's times you gotta talk your kids through things, you know? I mean, it's got that feel.
I wish I knew more about what was going on with his life during
Yeah.
that time.
It'd be interesting to know, like,
Yeah, just to have a
how
little
these
background.
popped up, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's the last track of the studio album.
What a record.
Man, thanks for coming and hanging with us. We appreciate it.
Oh, man,
Always
I could do this
fun,
all the
but-
time.
Yeah, good stuff. Next week, Tom Petty, Wildflowers.
Let's do it again. Yeah.
Let's see. The documentary I was talking about is called "Somewhere You Feel Free."
Yep.
The making of the Wildflowers album. So, if you haven't seen that, it's really good. Gives a insight to just Tom and
Sure.
Rick Rubin and all that situation. So,
Is it streaming? I assume. Or
I don't know where I saw it at.
Amazon.
I would
Oh,
imagine.
and it's also on YouTube. You can watch it for free on YouTube.
That's right.
Nice.
That's right. It is. That's right. It
Okay.
just has a few ads here and there, but that's right.
Cool. Nice.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of Petty stuff in that Sound City documentary too.
Yes, there is.
If you haven't seen that, so
We'll if you all don't already follow Zach, please do on socials. Also, wherever you stream your music, give old Mr. Wilkerson a follow. I'm sure
Yes,
he would
please.
appreciate it. Yeah, and you'll enjoy it. You'll be better for it. So just do it for that reason alone.
There you go.
It makes you a better human.
It does make you better. Thanks for Tom Petty joining too. That was cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He's he's a celebrity, so it's hard to get him to agree to events and stuff like that.
Right.
You have to go through management.
Tricky artist. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna work on the getting out of here pretty soon. So I will catch up with you guys soon.
Well, have a good time at all the shows. You got more.
It's
You
a
got a
big
bunch this weekend.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm tired just thinking about it.
Yeah, I'll send you a video.
Okay. All right. All right. We'll have fun. We'll see you.
Thank you, boys.
Appreciate it, Zach.
Thanks so
See y'all
much.
later.